So I think this is probably the most adaptable focal reducer I've ever seen hit the market. This is the Kip-On Pro Lock Bavise PL to Mamiya 645 focal reducer. Hey, I'm Zach Drips. I'm a cinematographer. I've worked on a lot of different projects over the years, be it features, TV shows, music videos, commercials. I'm very intentional about what camera equipment I buy and what lighting gear I purchase. You always want to tell the director's story in whatever project you're working on. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and there's a lot of different gear out there. So this is what I found that stands the test of time for me and is the most adaptable equipment. I've used the Kip-On Bavise focal reducer in the past, their Pentax 67 model. I really enjoyed it, and I used it on a number of different projects. So my first thought when I unboxed this adapter was it's tiny. It looks like just a lens cap and that's it. And then I opened it up, started playing with it, started putting on different lenses, and I noticed that you pretty much can't see it when it's on the camera. The all-metal build quality is great and firmly holds the lens in place. It mounts very firmly. It's not going to be like one of those cheap adapters that you buy on eBay for 20 bucks. I have tons of those, and this isn't the same. It doesn't have that little wiggle jiggle that those adapters have. You're going to have something that's firm. You're going to feel comfortable flying this on a Ronin or wherever, putting it in the sky, holding it upside down. It's not going to lose your lens. This adapter doesn't have any electronics, which is no big deal. If you're using a PL adapter, typically you're going to have a AC pulling focus, or you've got it figured out. It's not going to send any information of the lens. And a lot of these medium format lenses, they don't have any electronics either, so you're not missing out. It's so tiny. Look at this. Look at this thing. It's so itty bitty. It goes from here to here. It's so tiny. This flange distance. So for those of you who've never used a focal reducer before, it works in a way that's really similar to a magnifying lens. You know that kid from elementary school who had a magnifying lens and he would burn grass or ants with it by pointing it towards the sun, strengthening it, and then it would pinpoint this little spot. It would make the sun hotter, and then it would burn that little spot. Somebody should really check on that kid. Anyway, the way it works is really similar. So it gets a larger format, in this case, medium format lens, which has a large image circle, and it focuses it on a smaller surface. So you're getting an extra stop of light and you're getting the same sized image, just smaller now. That benefits filmmakers a lot. So you get all these lenses where they were a T4 and that's not that good, but now it's a T2.8 lens and it's like, oh, that's a little nicer. That's a little cooler. That's got some razzle dazzle factor now. And you can get closer to your subject now because you have a wider field of view and get nice and close. Before we get into the footage I shot on this lens, let's talk about flange real quick. When I was in college in the summers, I would work construction, and there's this thing called a flange on a toilet. It's like a wax ring that connects the toilet to the sewage pipe, and it's really gross. And if you ever have to repair it, you're gonna get your hands dirty. You gotta wear gloves, maybe even a mask. It's disgusting. And now I work in cameras. That's all I can think of when I talk about flanges. So I'm gonna say the word flange a lot, and I hope you also think of dirty, waxy toilet adapters. The flange of a lens is always at a set distance from the sensor. A PL mount always has to be 52 millimeters from the sensor. Every Mamiya 645 lens mounts at 63.3 millimeters away from the film plane or sensor. This is one of the few focal reducers that can be used on professional PL mount cameras such as the Arri LF, the Red Raptor XL, or the Zcam E2 F8. It's so rare to see focal reducers on those cameras. I think that this is a really rare new opportunity to try a focal reducer on one of those professional cameras. PL is so far away from the sensor that you have so many different cameras that can adapt to this focal reducer. I adapted it to my Nikon Z mount camera, but you could also buy adapters for other cameras such as Sony E, Leica L, or Canon RF. You could do EF, but not if it has a mirror, because that mirror is going to hit this. It would be unlikely that a camera manufacturer these days would come out with a lens mount with a wider flange than PL. There's just no need for that anymore. Camera technology would have to wildly change for that to happen. So you're pretty secure. It's a pretty future-proof lens mount. A good rule of thumb is if they make the adapter, if you can find it when you Google it, then it's possible. People don't usually make lens adapters that are going to give you crappy focus and not reach infinity focus. Just start Googling and you'll notice that there's so many cameras that can adapt to PL, and there's so many medium format lenses that can adapt to this, like Pentagon 6, Hasselblad V, or Bronica GS. There are so many medium format lenses to choose from that were created as the top of their class for optical quality. So with a focal reducer that's so adaptable, I started wondering, okay, well, let's get kind of weird with it. Can we stack focal reducers? Is that possible? Because there's so many super 35 to full frame focal reducers. I wasn't able to find anything. The closest thing I found was a PL focal reducer to, I think, Sony E, and it's close, but the back of this guy's not gonna fit. But it has 14.5 millimeters of clearance, and the Kip-on PL back protrudes 26 millimeters from the flange to the end of the glass. So close. Maybe someday we can get that double power, like super magnifying lens. It might not be possible, who knows? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe you could do 3. Maybe you could go from Mamiya 645 to Pentax 67 and put this in the middle, and then go like Sony E to PL to, I don't know. It'd be cool. It'd be fun. It'd be fun to play with. I'd play with it. All right, that's enough chit chat about numbers and all the boring stuff. Let's get into the footage. Let's get into what you all really came here for. It's to see what it looks like. I shot a combination of stills and video. First, here's some test footage of the Mamiya 645 lenses.
Shut up, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's just like a group that gets together and
Yeah.
that's very cool.
You want to be in our group?
I would love it.
We can let Trudy girls on
That's so fun.
We'll add you to our
Awesome.
group.
So nice to meet you guys. Yeah.
That's fun. This Mamiya 645 review kind of thing. I shot with the Mamiya Secor C 45mm f2.8, 80mm f1.9, and 150mm f4. With this adapter, each lens is one stop brighter and a few millimeters wider than what you might expect those lens numbers to look like on a full-frame camera. Ashley took some film shots, taking photos or whatever she thought was cool. Here's a shot on film compared to digital. Both were shot with the 80mm f1.9. The film is Ektachrome 100D. Next, I tried adapting my Pentax 67 lenses to this adapter, which worked no problem. I used the Pentax 67 45mm, the 75mm f4.5, and the Bokeh Queen Pentax 67 105mm f2.4. On more telephoto lenses, I did notice some vignetting, like my 200mm Pentax 67, but on all the other lenses that I tested, these did great. Okay, Pentax 67, 75mm, the old Bab Eyes still.
You're gonna be like, my girlfriend's watching Brigadoon in the background.
You never know. So next I took this on the road and brought it to Vancouver with me on a commercial shoot. That was really cool. It was fun. The food was great, a lot of good sushi, and we had a lot of fun. The team over there was cool. And the focal reducer worked great. I didn't even have to think about it. I was thinking about other stuff the whole time. It was bright, it was sharp, it looked cinematic. It was a fun lens adapter, and you know, when you're traveling, you really have to think about how heavy all your bags are, and space is really minimal, so to use a little adapter like this was great. Here is footage of those lenses on a Leica L full-frame camera. This footage is shot in open gate, which uses all of the sensor and requires lenses with a larger image circle. these lenses are still fully covered. This 2:3 aspect ratio gives you a much more similar aspect ratio to what you might be used to seeing with a lot of medium format film cameras. It was nice to see it in video. I wish more camera manufacturers would have open gate, full frame video formatting because it's such a great look and it's more adaptable. As you might have caught on to, I'm all about adaptability, and when I have a client who wants something in both 16:9 for YouTube and 9:16 for Reels and TikTok, it's great to have a more square format of video to be filming on so that I can have cut downs for both. It's also great for adapting anamorphic lenses. You don't have to crop into the sensor, you can use the full sensor. So if you're watching Canon, Sony, Nikon, if anybody watching this, if there's a single view of somebody who works at those companies, please put it in the request box. Let them know I asked. I'll buy your camera. I have no brand loyalty. Any of you do it, I'm there. So next I got a little weird. I wanted to see what else I could adapt this focal reducer on. So I went in and tested out the Fujifilm 102 medium format camera. This clip-on adapter isn't meant for medium format sensors. It's meant for full frame sensors. And what I found was it does vignette a little bit. You'll notice it more in photo mode because, as I was saying, there's no open gate video, so it crops the top and bottom when you're in video mode. In video mode, I think it's totally passable, especially if you're not all the way closed down to f/22. In photo mode, you're going to notice some vignetting on the edges, as you can see in the footage. This is because the image circle of this adapter is 52 millimeters, but the Fujifilm GFX sensors require 55 millimeters. So close. Clip-on sells a 0.8 strength GFX Mamiya 645 adapter. They must be using a 0.8 strength instead of 0.7 intentionally. This must be how they science their way around this, by making the focal reducer slightly less powerful than a 0.7 focal reducer. I didn't test it on a red VistaVision sensor like the Raptor, but based on what I saw, you should be covered no problem. You can also use smaller sensors, like maybe right now you have a Super 35 or APS-C camera, and one day you're hoping to go to full frame, you can still use this, it's gonna work great. Whatever this image circle covers, it's gonna work. There's a lot to really love about this adapter. The only negative thing I can think about with this product is the price is a little high at $1,880. That might be the most expensive focal reducer on the market. If you don't mind losing the feature of a locking Mamiya mount and maybe sacrificing a little bit of this product's adaptability, then you could find similar medium format focal reducers for about half the price from Clip-on and other manufacturers. So all in all, I'd say that this is a great adapter and it's going to be future-proof, and that's something that is very rare these days. Manufacturers are always trying to find a way to get you to jump onto the next product, whereas this could last you 20 years in your kit if you're into medium format lenses. Hey, if you liked what you saw, stay in touch, comment, we'll talk. I'm always here if you need a friend. I like cameras. If you want to talk about cameras, just reach out to me or follow me, whatever you want to do. Listen, you can like, you can comment, you can share, you can bookmark, you can save it, add it to your story, stitch this and make fun of me, I don't care. I've been Zach Drips, and if you want to send me more camera gear to review, I'm in. I'm all about that, like totally. Aperture, cool. You know, Sony, I'll review something. Pentax, I heard you got a new film camera coming. Wouldn't it be fun if I could review that? Don't you want to look at your product right here? This is free advertising. This one's on the house. Bolex, do you still exist? Let's try something out. Call me. This is how Gen Z does it. Give me a call. Give me a jingle. Call me on my beeper. Hit me on my beeper. Oh, bing, bing. Bing, bing. Is that Pentax calling now? Bing, bing. Beep, beep. All right. I think I've covered enough. Hey, if you like this video, I'm probably not going to make any more. I don't think Pentax is going to send me anything. So like, just watch it twice. medium format focal reducing to medium format for an extra medium look. God damn it, Zach. Extra medium.